especially the men and boys whose bodies remain at Wajimap, and to the families and descendants who lost them. For all Aboriginal people across Western Australia, Wajimap, also commonly known as Rottnest Island, is a significant place. Once connected to the mainland some 6,500 years ago, Wajimap was used by the Wajib Noongar people for important ceremonies and meetings. After the sea level rose, Wajimap was no longer accessible by land for Wajib Noongar people. Then came colonization, European settlement, and other ideas about community and ancestral custodians. European settlers first established Wajimap as a prison, incarcerating thousands of Aboriginal boys and men from across Western Australia. Then the prison became a forced labour camp, known as Rottnest Island Aboriginal Establishment. According to state records, it indicates that 3,700 Aboriginal men and boys were imprisoned at Wajimap between 1838 and 1931. There were children as young as 8 and adults as old as 70. Many were leaders, lawmen, and warriors, and the removal from their communities had long-lasting effects. During the operation of the Rottnest Island Aboriginal Establishment, Aboriginal men and boys who died in custody were buried in unmarked graves on Wajimap. Conditions of forced enslavement no different to that of a typical labor camp. Many of the deaths resulted from the epidemics of influenza in 1883, which swept through the establishment due to overcrowding. The lack of sanitation and nutrition, living and working in extreme weather, and physical and psychological abuse also contributed to the deaths. And the cost of ignoring crimes against humanity. Australians are renowned for their love of travel, but when it comes to Rottnest Island, this comes at the cost of ignoring the violence Aboriginal people have endured and the disrespect of walking on unmarked graves. According to United Nations, this is the definition of genocide: ecocide and infanticide. The deliberate and systematic destruction of a group of people because of their ethnicity and nationality. Colonial genocide is still occurring today in West Papua. After little contact with the Western world, it was finally formally colonized by the Netherlands in 1898. Islands now that make up Indonesia were also colonized by the Dutch. But when the Republic of Indonesia became an independent nation state in 1949, West Papua did not join the country. Integration into neighboring Indonesia was approved by the United States and Australia as part of the Cold War strategy to keep Indonesia out of the communist camp. The integration was no different to the same incarceration and crimes against humanity on Wajimap. West Papua had suffered the full force of the Indonesian military's attempt to crush any resistance. This left at least 100,000 people dead and inspired a legacy of hate for the Indonesians that fueled the independence movement. In 1969, the United Nations definition of the act of free choice was a sham vote that only allowed 1,026 representatives chosen by the Indonesian from an indigenous population of 814,000 to vote on whether to remain a part of Indonesia. Today it is believed that over 500,000 Papuans have been killed, with increasingly growing numbers. West Papua has never agreed to be a part of Indonesia. Indigenous peoples' history on Wajimap and West Papua is a history of brutality and unmarked graves. We can reclaim indigenous rights. We are here commemorating in our heart, in our history, and on ancestral land, the fallen on Wajimap. We can also stand for truth and justice and liberation for our brothers and sisters in West Papua. Free West Papua. My condolences to all those who have fallen on Wajimap land, also known as Rottnest Island, and our surviving ancestral custodians. Thank you everyone for being here today to learn about the real horror stories of genocide on Rottnest Island to West Papua. And I hope you all find the time to research more on these very important topics and help break the silence of those who have suffered and are still suffering today. I would like to introduce my West Papuan sister, Rachel Tor, who is also a supporter of the International Free West Papua movement. She will elaborate further on this very important topic that must be spoken about. Thank you, Ivor Jackson, for this opportunity to be a voice for the First Nations of Australia and as well as the First Nations of West Papua.
Today we are here on Rottnest Island, the site of the Aboriginal prison that operated between 1838 and 1931. This period represents the 93 years of racially motivated abuse during which individuals suffered and were murdered, many whose lives were cut short, were kept in prison to die under the harsh policies of the British and the Australian government lawmakers, reflecting a mindset rooted in racial discrimination. The treatment of the Aboriginal people in this prison was inhumane, inflicting suffering upon the native black Australian people of Western Australia and around Australia, subjecting them to degrading treatment. We, the indigenous communities of the world, stand together asking the Australian government to stop racism in Australia against black people in this land. We urge all Australians to refrain from perpetuating racism, encouraging instead a culture of respect and understanding towards the native peoples of Australia and other races across Australia. Leaders of the government are called upon to embody principles of equality and non-discrimination. Today, we stand together to call upon the Australian government. You have the power to make positive changes and improve the lives of all Australians. You are not defined by the negative actions of the past. Instead, there is an opportunity to rewrite history by embracing values to respect, equality, and justice. Australia is committed itself to upholding human rights, promoting peace and stability in Australasia region. It's crucial that this commitment extend to all its actions, both within its borders and its international relations. Respect for the First Nation people is essential. The legacy of taking their land and the wealth generated from its obligates to today Australian to acknowledge past wrongs and work towards rectifying them. The fight against racism must continue. In West Papua, the situation demands attention and action. Support of Indonesian military by the external powers has led to grave human rights abuses. It's imperative for the international community, including Australia, to take a stand against any form of oppression and to support the rights of the West Papuan people. In the Second World War, the West Papuan people supported the Australian army. They carried them to safety and nursed them to their health. Australia promised not to turn its back on the West Papuan people. But today, Australia has turned its back to the people of West Papua. And I call upon everybody to stand together as a people to stop this racism. There is racism in many forms, whether it's through wealth. We have done away with human lives, and now we are using wealth in many black countries for our own gain, to build up our economy in our country. And Australia is doing that in West Papua by training the Indonesian army and supporting the Indonesian army with weapons to slaughter the people of West Papua. And I ask you to voice yourself. We have a God-given weapon. It is your voice. Use it. It is powerful. Your words can cut through anything. Your words can change something. Silence is the biggest killer in the world. When there is a genocide and you do not speak, you encourage it to happen. Use your mouth. Use your voice. It is your God-given voice for you to save yourself and your people. Use it. Do not turn your back on those who are crying out for help. And West Papua has been crying out to Indonesia, Australia, and New Zealand for help. Since the 1960s up to today, Australia is turning its back from West Papua. And I ask you to use your voice. Put everything on social media. Tell the world about this place on Rottnest Island. Because I live in England, and when I have something to say about Rottnest Island and the genocide, everyone is telling me it is a lie. They say it never happened. I always say, go to Australia and you will see it in Perth. Take a boat and you will see for yourself. And here, I stand here for the people of West Papua and the people of Australia, the Aboriginal people. And I do not want you to lose your culture. I beg you to stand as a people of this nation, black people. Save your culture and tell it to your children. Tell about everything that has happened on this island and in West Papua. You have the life. While you're still alive, say, use your mouth, speak bold about it. Don't put up with bad governments who are helping each other to slaughter innocent lives and put them in prison like they did here. Now, we have mobile phones. Yes, you can speak up against racism. In those days on this island, it took 93 years for these people, for the First Nation on this island. They were crying and thinking, who is coming to save us? Nobody came. In this modern age, you have no excuse. Stand up for what is wrong. Do not help. Be quiet when your government of Australia is doing something wrong. Stand up and speak against it. We cannot breed a group of people to carry on genocide after genocide because somebody looks black and you do not want the color because it doesn't look right like you. I grew up in the colonial days, and the Australian used to say to us, you are black and you are bad. You are black and you are evil. Nothing good about you. You are black just like them in Australia. You're black like them and you're bad like them. Nothing nice to be said about you. White is better. And this is a wrong information. We should not breed this to our children behind closed doors. We must stop it. And today, I ask you, spread the news about West Papua. My people are longing to be free from Indonesia's brutal killing. We need to save lives while we're still alive, and we have the voice to do it. We have the means of everything to use. Thank you for listening. Free West Papua. Free West Papua. Thank you for letting me come here. Thank you.
Friends, before continuing, please support, like and comment on this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. God bless us all.